Hello, 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 and welcome to a brand new episode of Three Drams. As always, I am your host, Matt Healy from potstill.com, also known as Potstill Matt, and I am delighted to be here this evening. I am excited. This is now episode 30. We are in April of 2023. I am really excited the fact that we've come so far, 31 episodes at this point, with Three Drams, bringing you Irish whiskies from all over the country to all over the world. We have so many different people from Germany, Brazil, Ireland, UK, Canada, Australia, watching every month and meeting the flavor makers and creators from all these fantastic whiskies across the world. We have lots of people who join every month, particularly around some of the big holidays, that join the Irish whiskey journey for the first time. And then we have the people that, of course, are always watching with us. And also a lot of people who watch after the fact. Either they be working during the time that we're starting up, or that we have in different time zones. As I said, like Brazil, like in Japan, maybe not the most fantastic time zones to be watching this in live, but I always love to see the comments after the fact. Some of our fantastic regular faces in here, Mike D saying hello, Kevin O'Connell Servus, lovely friends, and as well Tina in Germany, and then JB coming in from London. I am really excited, as always, for bringing you three fantastic whiskies. We have Black's single malt this evening. We also have Skellig's single pot still, and then of course the Teeling Cask strength Blackpitts. Three whiskies, three very different types of whiskey. I am really excited to see what they are like. As always, if you're a subscriber to Three Drams, check your inbox at 5 to 9. You'll have an email in your inbox that will give you a discount code for each of these whiskies individually, and all three as a package deal. You get a further discount as well, shipped to your door anywhere in the world where it is legal to do so. But of course, as always, I do want to say a very big thank you to the guys at Irish Malts and the team at Three Drams that put this together, get all the whiskeys set up from around the world, dropped to your door, and then also bring all these fantastic flavor makers and creators to us in Three Drams. But of course, I know that there's no time like the present. I also know that none of you are here to listen to me. So we're going to get right into it. I'm going to welcome our first guest to the show, one of my favorite Irish whiskey bottles that is on the market. We have Darren Murphy, brand ambassador from Black's. Welcome to the show. How are you doing, sir? Welcome back to the show, should I say.
Thanks, Matt. Yeah, thanks for the invitation back. Doing really well, thanks. Lovely introduction. I'm very glad you hit on the flavor makers part, because flavor mavericks is kind of our thing, our theme, so it's a big part of what we do. So I'm happy now to introduce one of our whiskeys, which is comes under the flavor mavericks title.
Well, I'm glad to hear it. As I said, I'm going to pull the bottle back up. We'll talk about this a little bit in a moment. Every time, and we come across each other at shows all around the place. Every time I go by your bottle, I pick it up just to gawk at it. What a beautiful and what an expressive bottle, especially that kind of black half fade down the bottle itself with the color bursts on it. I know you've a range that kind of sport this motif, but I can't help pick. I'm working in the industry. I talk to you all the time, and I still can't help pick it up as I go by. It must be a huge positive on the shelf for you guys to have something like that.
Absolutely. I mean, it's a competitive space, right? And we wanted to design something that jumped off the shelf. So I think we've achieved that. We wanted an original look, something that was bright, colorful, expressive, as you said, because that's part of our kind of core identity, the innovation and creativity behind the brand. It's quite original, I guess, in the look, which is also good. But most of all, I think when you see the bottle on the shelf or in a bar, and you have a look, you'll recognize it straight away as it's Black's. And that's really important for us, We really wanted to create something different. There's a huge amount of creativity in the space as well. Maybe some in the heritage space, some in the super modern space. We wanted to cut out our own little niche, little identity there. I think we've done a really good job of that. We're really happy with the bottle. Of course, I'm going to say we're happy, but we genuinely are happy with the bottle, and I think it really stands out. So I'm glad you like it too.
It's funny because I often think of all these multi-million companies that go through rebrands to be stand out on shelves, and it's one of the things is that they don't always nail it, if that makes sense.
Sure.
So there's one particular Scotch brand I have in my head, very big, multinationally owned, and they rebranded in a way that the logo got smaller, but also not just that, the name on the bottle, like what expression it is illegible from
Right.
a couple of meters away. And I was at a whiskey I was in Hungary, and I said to the Glengoyne ambassador, I was like, "Oh, you changed your bottles," and they were like, "Yeah, but like I can't read the thing," and it's amazing, millions went into this, but if it was on a back bar in a bar, I wouldn't be able to tell if it was a 10 and 12 and 8 or 7 or 30, whereas with these, and in many cases, maybe even not even the brand, but in this case, it jumps off the shelf. Like there's no, yeah, and the black almost billboards the motif as well.
That was the idea, the colorful, I suppose, branding on a black background. Obviously, there's a clear element to the bottle as well, because it's important that the consumer can see the color of the liquid. But yeah, it was a really good canvas for I suppose, a piece of art. I guess it is. I mean, it is a creation, right? Luckily for us, I mean, we went through many stages. There were many voices, opinions, and what have you. But we came to a consensus, and yeah, we're really happy with the final result. So it's cool. Yeah, thanks a million for the compliments.
No, I pick at bottles I like when I see them, because and having made black bottles before, and having seen consumer responses to black bottles, it can be very hit and miss.
Right.
If there is, because a lot of time with some consumers, they think you're hiding something if it's blacked out, or the other side is they can't see how much is in the bottle.
Right. Yeah, it's like, I'm getting half a bottle of whiskey here. What's going on?
Yeah. Or even when they're pouring it themselves, they put it back on the shelf and they're like, I don't know if that's full or empty. Yeah. And even myself, like, you're shaking a bottle going, I don't know, is there a little bit or a lot? Anyway, we spent too long talking about your packaging, because that's not what we're here for. I'm here for this, but no one else is.
Right.
Why don't you tell us what we have in our glass? I'm going to take out Dram number 1 here, and I'm going to fill up my glass. And why don't you tell us what we're having tonight, and what makes up this fantastic whiskey?
Okay, so it's a single malt whiskey, which is lovely. I love the style single malt. And I suppose the background to the story about this is, when we were looking to create interesting things and interesting flavors, being the flavor mavericks, one of the things which we thought was a good idea is to lean on one of the core competencies of the business, which is brewing beer, because we've been doing beer for a long time. And we thought, okay, cool, that's a strength. Let's do a single malt whiskey in an IPA cask, finished in an IPA cask. But this time, I mean, it's our own IPA cask, right? So we can tweak it a little bit. We have control of the production, let's say it like that. And we wanted to create something which was craft, I suppose, because we're coming from a craft beer background that had really interesting flavor. And we went with the name Citrus Galaxy because, I mean, citrus kind of flavors are something typical of hoppy beers, right? So it's a 43 ABV. So nice ABV, nice strength, nice flavor. I'd invite you all to have a little nose of this one and see what you think's going on. I mean, cheers, everyone.
Let's launch it. Have a little look at the color there as well.
Yeah, a pretty pale one.
It's funny because with citrus in the name, it to me works as the color scheme.
Right.
It's almost like citrus oil or something.
Lemony kind of, or And I think the beer sure comes through on the nose. There's a hoppiness there, but I think there's a nice balance for me. I mean, you get the classic kind of orchard fruit notes in there. Apple, pear, things like that, which is great. But the hoppiness is coming through as well. There's a citrus note to it, some fruitiness, which is lovely. And one of the things which I found really, really charming was just, for me, kind of a rosewater note to it. There's a floral rosewater thing, which was really, really nice, really pleasant nose. So I hope everyone's, having a good nose there and enjoying it. I'm going to have a sip.
Okay, I'm going to join you. Sláinte, everyone
Cheers.
else at home, if you've held off, please do it now.
Unbelievable, lads. It's lovely. It's a really nice drop. Really pleasant. I think the fruitiness is coming through there still. A little bit of pepper and clove.
It's, for me, it's a really, really expressive nose. Like it's funny. I'm just kind of stuck almost on the nose. It's really,
Sure.
really, really it's fruity, but there's a little bit of kind of dryness in the background as well. Which is still making me think of, if I'm, you've poisoned my tasting notes saying citrus anyway in the name. It's
Right.
bringing me
Our
through that.
suggestion.
It's almost an expressed citrus peel or something.
Yeah, there is that zestiness to it, I feel. I mean, the hops add a whole kind of new, I suppose, level to it. And when it said Citrus Galaxy, and when we talked about hops and craft beer, we really wanted to create a product that really said that, that when you smell it, when you taste it, that you can, you really get the influence, because, we didn't want to do things by half. Let's do it. Let's make it a real drink with character. And if you want to put yourself out there as a flavor mavericks, I mean, you got to have something with character, with punch, with a lot going on. And I think we've really achieved that. Yeah, it's one of my favorites at the moment. Go from time to time, it changes, but it's one I'm really enjoying. I think there's a nice medium length to it as well, and it stays there. It's not one that goes forever and ever and ever, but it's really nice, pleasant. I think it's a great drop. It's a great, if you're looking for something slightly creative in the single malt space, I think it's a great option.
And I know you do a lot of different beers. How did you end up with this cask? For what was the selection process in your heads, or was it just a myriad of innovation and this is the one that came to the top?
Well, we sat in the office, did a brainstorm, and as I was saying, we said we should lean on the core competency of beer, and IPA is a lot of what we do. So we said, let's just go for it. Like, there's no point in, life's too short, so let's just go for it. Let's get some beer in a barrel, which was pretty straightforward. I think there was beer in there for like about 4 months, so it gave it a nice bit of time. And we filled it, left it for about another 3 months or so, and we're like, okay, this is starting to taste really good. This is where we want to get. And so much so, actually, it inspired us, Matt, to do a whole range of beer finish stuff. So, I mean, this is the classic one, let's say, but I have a whole range of stuff, single malts and single grains finished in black IPA, imperial stouts. I even have a crazy one, which is finished in an IPA that had cannabis terpenes infused in it. I don't think anybody else in the world has done anything like that. It's a craziness, man, but it's a fantastic expression. And it is about the creativity, right? I've got New England style IPA finished whiskey. So loads of different stuff, just trying to be creative. I mean, it's fun, which is part of the kind of identity of our company, be innovative, be fun, push the boundaries. Don't be afraid to take risks. Let's try this. And I think so far it's been really great results. So we're happy.
And is this whiskey core range, or is this a limited edition run?
This is core range. It's core range. It will be for the medium term, I guess, So we got 4 right now in the core range, all available on Irish Malts, guys. So if you're looking to pick up any of the core range or any of the experimental stuff that we do, seasonal stuff, Irish Malts is a great place to pick it up, of course. And thanks to John and the guys there. They've been great supporters of what we've been doing. And of course, cheeky plug, you can pick it up online from blacksbrewery.com/shop as well. If you want to have a little nose around there, there's some goodies on there too. Just saying.
And is it Black's Brewery and Distillery as the one website? Is it, just to make sure
it's the one website? Yeah, I think the brewery was the original business. We ran with that, but you'll find all beer and spirits content on there. Okay. And there's loads of fun stuff on there, and yeah, so it's good to have a little nose around.
Fantastic. And I suppose working with beer casks has lots of issues in terms of quality. You have to be really on top of it. I've ruined enough batches of
Right.
beer casks. The beer was fine, and then you leave the cask even 2 days over, and you've ruined the batch. A lot of QC, a lot of monitoring, a lot of woodwork goes into doing all these. Two questions. One is is it a passion project still these days, or is it are you looking forward to when the whiskey comes out, or and the second one is what beer comes out the other end? I suppose do you still love doing the beer casts, and what is the beer on the far end? Because I see people trying to guess in the comment section what beer it is.
Right. It began as a passion project, definitely. I think it's become part of the identity of the business. So I would imagine, again, let's say medium term, there will be products like Citrus Galaxy or similar in the portfolio, and I think it's cool because it kind of pays homage to the craft beer thing which we started at, and it works. And from a marketing perspective, we're looking at guys who maybe and girls, who started drinking craft beer maybe in their 20s and they're transitioning to whiskey, and it's a nice bridge. And it's also a market for craft beer locations, people who are into beer-driven businesses, to give them a very nice synergy with whiskey. So that's really cool. And what was the second question again? I'm talking too much.
The question was what is the beer that comes out of the cat? What's the name? What's the expression name that comes out of the far end?
I mean, normally we don't use the beer normally after we've seasoned the cask with it, But in saying that, there is a nice way to twist it around, and you can age imperial stouts, for example. We have done in whiskey, whiskey cask. So, but that would rather probably be, a specific project whereby we're trying to create a stout finished, a whiskey finished stout, as opposed to just a natural, byproduct of the whiskey. Yeah, I mean, absolutely, you can drink it, tastes good. You know what I mean? It's fun. And we might do something for a festival or what have you, but it probably wouldn't be something that would be broadly released.
That's understandable. And sometimes projects do go that way. I do see a couple people asking what would the price be on a normal recommended retail
for the Citrus Galaxy. I think probably about €60. So
okay.
if you can snap it up for less than that, grab it. There are some discount codes, as you mentioned earlier on. So yeah, if there's really good value, go and grab it. Yeah, it's single malt. Obviously, there's a premium in that. The innovation, there's a premium in that. It's drinking fantastically. I think it's a decent price point for a really good product.
Exactly. And will we be seeing you at Whiskey Live in May?
Absolutely, yeah. I'll be there. Citrus Galaxy will be there as well. So if you want to get more, you can try it. And we'll have other expressions as well. I'll bring a single grain and some blends and what have you. And we might bring some funky stuff too. Yeah, we'll be there with bells and whistles. So it'll be fun. We're really looking forward to it.
Fantastic. And do remember, if you're watching at home, the next 3 Drams is the night before Dublin Whiskey Live. So it is May 18th, the Thursday. If anyone wants to wish me a happy birthday, that is. I'm working my own birthday. That's cardinal.
On you, man. Marching to the cause, right?
Exactly. So I'm really excited about this. I know the people in the comment section are as well. Do let us know what your tasting notes are, because I'm seeing a lot of people particularly commenting on both the floral and the kind of citrus, but the kind of peppery finish to it as well, which I'm quite enjoying it. And you said it was kind of medium length. I'm still tasting on my palate as I sit here. I'm really enjoying it. And my glass is empty, but it's still so expressive in the nose. And actually now it's kind of, as it's evaporating, even more that kind of like citrus pepperiness. I'm quite enjoying.
Right.
In terms of, I suppose, innovation with the brand, innovation with, the locations and everything, are there any, I suppose, updates or developments or things to keep an eye out for in the next few months or the coming year?
Well, I'm very glad you asked that question, actually. Yeah, we have a new distillery, brewery and distillery site opening, hopefully July this year, which is really exciting for us. I mean, we're a growing business, right? So it's very exciting time actually in the history of blacks, if you like. We're in Kinsale, that's our home, and we've got a beautiful site on the water there. So we'll be producing quite soon there, and then it'll be phase by phase with the visitor experience tours. Which is a great extra revenue stream for us too, So super excited about that. Keep an eye on the social media platforms. Obviously, you'll find Black's Brewery, Black's Irish Whiskey, Black's Distillery, and so on. And you can find me as well on Instagram, that Drinks Guy. You'll find me there as well. So I'll be posting about updates and what's going on. So if you want to follow that, it's super exciting. Also, of course, we've got Cask Investment. That's part of the business too. So you can hit me up. You'll find me there. You can get me at darren@blacksbrewery.com if you want to pop me a mail. I'd be happy to send you on some info on that if you're looking for a real fun investment with great returns, So it's those are really exciting things happening right now at Black's, Matt.
Absolutely fantastic. Well, I look forward to seeing you guys at Whiskey Live. Of course, this has been the Black Single Malt Citrus Galaxy IPA cask. You said it's about €60 recommended retail, 43% ABV. Of course, we have it on the Irish Malt's website with the discount code going out at 5 to 9 if you are subscribed to 3 Drams. And I mean, at this point, I don't know, you aren't subscribed to 3 Drams. You get all these fantastic whiskeys dropped straight to your door. Even our guests get the packs dropped straight to their door. So Darren's going to feel free to watch along as we talk to June and the guys from Teeling as well. So a very big thank you to you. But last parting words, 3 elevator pitch for people to remember this whiskey as you head off.
Yeah, remember the flavor Mavericks, guys. Creativity, flavor, innovation. Yeah, keep an eye for blacks. Yeah, we're coming for you. Hope you enjoy the other whiskeys. Have a good evening, everybody.
Oh, thanks so much. Well, I am delighted with Dram number 1, but of course we have 2 more fantastic whiskeys this evening. Our second this evening from Skellig 6 Distillers, Skellig's Atlantic Aged Single Pot Still Whiskey, and we have June O'Connell coming from Skellig. Welcome to the show. Welcome, June. How are you doing? We're gonna do the classic. You're on mute there. I'm fantastic. Welcome. How are you doing?
I'm great. Listen, delighted to be here and delighted to speak to your audience. Yeah, great to be here.
Oh, fantastic. Well, I believe it's the first time on the show. I've 31 episodes to remember through, but I think I'm correct that it's your first time. So I'm delighted to welcome you. For those who don't know you or your company, why don't you give us a little bit of background, and I'm going to pour your whiskey into my glass while you do that.
Great. So we are Skellig 618 Distillery, and we're based in Carsavine, County Kerry, right down on the southwest tip of Ireland. Next stop, North America, as we go across the Atlantic. We're based on the Skellig coast, and for those of your viewers who might know about the Skellig, these 2 rocks in the middle of the Atlantic, and in the 6th century, monks decided it would be a great place to build a monastery, which is now a UNESCO World Heritage Site. And I suppose growing up there, the Skellig always would have kind of impinged or would have been very prominent in terms of traditions, in terms of the stories you would have heard. And the 618 comes from the 618 steps they built in the 6th century to reach that monastery. And I can tell you there are many days when you start a whiskey distillery business where you have to grit your teeth and say, oh my God, what am I doing? Okay, they did it in the 6th century and went 618 steps. Settle, make a decision, go forward. We've another lot of steps to go, but that's certainly where the name comes from. I'm from Carsavine town myself on the Skellig coast. I have been exiled working in cities for most of my career up to the last number of years when I got involved in the whiskey industry. Delighted to be in this industry. I was always kind of on the periphery of it. I had a lot of clients in my former life. I was a lawyer, but don't hold it against me. But a lot of my clients were in this space and was always incredibly interested in it, always enjoyed whiskey, enjoy food. I think anybody who enjoys flavors and taste and produce and enjoying the industry. We're very much, I suppose, the size of the site and the location is important. It's home for us. very much try and keep as much of the employment and the business there. But obviously, if you're going out into the world, we also have people in other parts just outside of there, but very much rooted in our home. We launched our first product in 2019 October, which was a pot distilled gin. And so we have been maturing whiskey as well on the site for a number of years with the howling wind and rain and everything else down there. So the whiskey we're trying tonight has been matured in the warehouse at the distillery site for the past number of years.
Fantastic. And of course, September 2019 was a wonderful time, I'm sure, to launch any products. I'm sure you had lots of run up after that to get them marketed.
Yeah. Well, look, this is a long game. Nobody gets into this game and into the whiskey business without realizing that it's a long, long game. There'll be many twists and turns. We just had to, I'm not even going to use that awful word pivot because we're so sick of hearing it, but we had to make decisions quickly, and we made some mostly right ones. Certainly leaned in a big way to corporate gifting, which was wonderful because we were able to keep people working at home, and that has been really useful for us actually, and that's turned into a big part of our business actually. We got good at it fast because we didn't have a choice. But certainly now that our first whiskey expressions came out, quietly revealed before Christmas, we're really enjoying now going out and talking about that. So it's an exciting time for us.
Well, fantastic. Well, why don't you tell us a little bit about the whiskey we have in our glass and what we might expect from it?
Well, it's a single pot still style whiskey, and we very much want to be known as a single pot still house. Of course, the traditional Irish whiskey style. And these casks, this is a limited edition whiskey, this particular one, and it's the first in what we're calling the 618 step collection. So it's a Skellig whiskey, and it's in the first in the 618 step collection. It's finished in Pedro Jimenez and a former peated cask. And we did that for good reason. Our part of the world is so remote that there has been centuries of maritime trade with Europe. We only had a road back to the rest of Ireland in the 1812, I think. So everything was done by sea, and there was lots of trade. And then, of course, we're surrounded by Atlantic raised peatlands. There's a word that we use, which is an Irish word, Gaeilge word, which is a moss of peat and a moss of turf. And it means that very, very, very gentle smell that you get at too early in the year. When somebody lights a fire in September, when they don't really need to be lighting a fire, and you kind of go, what's that? And that's what we wanted to replicate here as well, in terms of a very slight hint of smoke. So in that typical, I've had mine in the glass now for a little while before we started. So we only used 6 casks for this release, and the youngest whiskey in this is a 6-year-old. We matured it in first fill PX casks, finished it rather, and also in the peated casks, also at the distillery, disgorged everything there, blended and married everything there, bottled everything there. So for us, really, the typical single pot still flavors, it was important to get those into the whiskey. And I think we have that with obviously the fruit and a little bit of spice, but also on the fruit, to me, it's those dried fruits. It's like the dried apples and a little bit of those exotic fruits, which you always wonder how the wood works its magic to get a papaya kind of mango in there. And then, of course, because of the cask finish on it, there's a little bit of sweetness in there in terms of the caramel. Interesting, what tends to come back from people and I'd be interested to hear the audience's view here, is that people come back with nuts, actually. They come back with Brazil nuts or kind of a nutty character, which I personally like savory whiskies. I like a savory taste. So, but it'd be interesting to hear people's taste on that. And then the smoke is really just to add a layer of complexity. And it's very much an introduction to a bit of smoke in the whiskey. It's not everybody's favorite entry point to go with a big peated whiskey. I enjoy them, but it's not everybody's favorite entry point. So what we're trying to do here was add that layer of complexity, which I think the smoke gives it, and gives it a nice long finish, but also just to make the introduction to it that it's not as scary as it might be perceived to be, and it's not as tough man masculine either as it might be perceived to be. Like, I'm so tough I can eat a sod of turf, you know. So very much we enjoyed it in that. I like to use a drop of water as well, and sometimes I think it opens it up. So I'd just be interested. What do you think? You've obviously had a nose.
I've had a nose, I haven't had a sip yet. What I'm going to do is I'm going to say sláinte to you, and I'll have a little sip now, and invite everyone else in the comments if you haven't already. I see all of you have jumped in, but sure, if you haven't, sláinte. It's very expressive. For me, particularly the nose, the palate's lovely, and it's is it 43 point something?
43.
43. My apologies.
Yeah, and a few comments back as well has been people felt that it was more. Personally, you know, a lot. I like it at this level. It's very accessible. It means that it's not, you can get the flavoring straight away. But certainly the cask strength, which we brought to Whiskey Society recently, really people absolutely loved. And so for our distillery edition, which we'll be doing every year, the first year this year will probably be the single pot in the cask strength. And it certainly is something that people seem to really enjoy. So in our visitor experience, which is right on the Wild Atlantic Way, we are just putting the finishing touches on our snug, which is what it sounds like. It's a small pub area at the front of the distillery, and we'll have a pour your own there in terms of from the cask, and we'll try and change that every year. So it's exclusive to pour your own there, but also we'll make it exclusive to distillery only, and that's likely to be cask strength. That seems to be the feedback from people that they like.
I mean, whiskey aficionados are definitely known to like their cask strength, of course. Yeah, but for me, the nose is fantastic. There's a lot going on. Even for pots, you've got that spry grain, but there's a lovely, rich kind of vanilla maltiness in the background under those layers, and I like about it, there's nothing overpowering. The PX isn't overpowering, and my favorite type of cask to work with, but it can be very overpowering, and it's layered beautifully here. And
yeah, we were looking. Sorry, go ahead. That was the kind of sophistication that we were looking for, and I mean, the PX. I think you were talking about it earlier in terms of the IPA casks and being very careful with the timing on it. The PX casks are like that as well in the finishing, because if it goes over, it can often be a bit too sweet to get balance on the other side. Yep. It's harder to balance it then.
Yeah, for me on the palate, like I'm getting a lot of kind of like candied orange, like that kind of which I'm really enjoying. And again, it's not, there's light hints of smoke in the background, and some kind of, it's almost kind of an oxymoron, kind of juicy dried fruits, like almost like kind of liquefied dried fruits in the background. I'm very much enjoying this. And by the looks of the people in the comment section, they were also enjoying it. And now that you've mentioned the cask strength version, I can see multiple people asking for the cask strength version.
Yeah, it would be ready. We're going through the usual fun and games with labeling and how long that takes in terms of Department of Agriculture and Food and the Marine approval, which is proper order. This is an Irish whiskey. It's got to go out into the world and be properly approved as such, but it's frustratingly slow. When you come across something like that, you just want to get it out straight away. But yeah, so I guess we're about 8 weeks away from that, and it will be available on our website then, and hopefully. So and then obviously the guys at Irish Malt, this is the first time they're hearing about it, so we could have a conversation maybe later on in that as well. But yeah,
As I always say, I have nothing to do with the guys. I do the easy work. I show up to talk about Irish whiskey. The guys at Irish Malts are a Trojan team, and they're both looking after Irish Malts and also 3 Drams. So I look forward to seeing it on the website. I promise I'll promise you anything, but I have nothing to do with it. So
No,
make
I
sure
mean,
it's on the website Monday.
yeah, I mean, we're just, every week, because this is so new out to market now. So it's wonderful to get the feedback from the Irish whiskey community, and you feel almost like a guardianship of this category. You want to get it right. I mean, everybody takes pride in everything that they create going out into the world, but when you have a category like this that is so important to so many people, it's really important to get it as right as you can get it. So every day is a school day in terms of feedback and what we're learning and what we're listening to.
Exactly. Now I'm going to ask you a question that gets asked every show, and is possibly one of the most important questions of 3 Drams. Is this going to be available in Germany? For all of the people who are going to ask repetitively in the comment section, whether or not it's going to be available in Germany.
It is. The team from irishwhiskey.de were at the distillery about 3 weeks ago. So
Fantastic.
we're going to start working.
All of our German living guests in the comment section are all familiar with Mareike at this point.
Yes, also her husband and her very quiet son, who was sat through the meeting, unlike my 3 lads who would be bombing schlitters and footballs around the place if we tried to tie them down for exactly the same time. But yeah, so we get a lot of German visitors to our corner of the world as well. So it's great when they come through, and we're, it's great to have them through the visitor experience too. And it's always interesting as well to see who, you can't generalize too much, but it's interesting to see who's interested in what aspect.
Yep.
It's just really interesting to see. Irish people, they're interested in the grain components, because we're all only 1 or 2 generations away from being farmers or fishermen anyway, so they're all very interested in the grain components. Our German visitors are always very interested in the machinery and what kit is involved. So on the tour, it's always great to meet people and get that feedback.
Well, I'm glad to hear it. It's very funny, I suppose, traveling the world, seeing what matters to different consumers around the world. And once I've been working in whiskey and selling whiskey for a decade now, and once I've thought I've got it figured out, I realize I haven't at all. So I'm sure you have lots of fun down there, trying to figure out what consumers want from different places. So I commend you on that. It's a tough ask.
Yeah, but it's great because, I mean, we don't really script the tour. All our tour guides are locals, and they're well able to read the room, and therefore they can change it as needs be. And ultimately, people are, it rains a lot in Ireland. They're looking for something to do for an hour, and if they can go away entertained and enjoy it without feeling that they've been lectured at, then that's a great memory for them. And hopefully then they remember you, as opposed to, what was the name of that place we went into again in the rain? So we work hard at that.
Fantastic. And is this core range? Are we going to see this as a part of the portfolio going forwards? Whoops, don't kick.
Yeah, we only have 2 expressions at the moment. So we have this, and it will be core range, and it will be limited in time, really, I think. And how many good casks of oldish single pot still we can use to do this? So yes, it will be, and then we have a small batch. The distillery only will change every year, but it'll look the same. The branding will be the same. The second step here, these represent the steps on the Skellig. The second step will be a slightly different color. And I think this is our first time going out. So if we could just settle with those and get those away and focus on getting, good cut through in terms of consumers understanding us and what we're about and what the brand is about and what we stand for, and enjoying the liquid, then I think, everyone loves experimenting, but it's got to be commercial as well on some level, So, but the distillery only gives us a chance to do that every year.
Well, fantastic. Well, if people are looking for you online, where should they be looking for more information about you guys?
Well, our website, we've just actually redone again recently to refocus, to mirror the fact that we launched these. Skellig 618 Distillery, all the socials. We're very active on social. Our remoteness has a double-edged sword in the sense that you're far from markets and from people, But the advantage is it's difficult not to take a good photograph or take something interesting. So, you know, we try and use that a bit like Darren before me here. You know, you've got to place your strength. We're in a world market, and certainly the socials are important. And just call in. I mean, you know, the visitor experience is there. We're on the Ring of Kerry, which is a very busy part of the world. And we're a small team, so we're very reactive to things. Very often, some of the more interesting comments come through in the learnings on the social, on the direct messages, and we try and get back to as many of them as we can, as quickly as we can. Very often on the side of a hurling pitch or a football pitch while we triple job, as with all small businesses. But yeah, so we're starting the export now, which is fantastic, and really making sure we have a strong presence in Ireland, because we are an Irish whiskey and we want to be strong here as well. So yeah, every month changes, Matt. Every month changes.
Oh, absolutely. And will we be seeing your team at Whiskey Live Dublin in May?
Yes, very excited about that. I've been going to it for years. So delighted to be going to it. Yes, so our blender, interesting story, Sean Foran. Sean's people were all the lighthouse keepers on Skellig and on Valentia, and his father emigrated to Dublin, and Sean has emigrated back to Valentia and South Kerry. So Sean is coming with us, and he's done a great job, you know, in terms of putting the flavors together. So I think it's important for the guys who are at the distillery, who are actually doing the physicality of this, to actually be there and see the reaction of people to what they've put together. So our cuishta, which is the Irish word for committee, the Scots have a committee, we have a cuishta. So, you know, we would have had people's opinions and steers, and we would have thought long and hard about the final expression. But yeah, looking forward to being in Dublin, and the team are looking forward to coming up. We have to practice our Dublin pronunciations though, so it would be Skellig and not Skellig.
Exactly. Well, Juna Khan, thank you so much for your time. I really appreciate it. And I've absolutely loved having some of this whiskey with you. Obviously, feel free to enjoy the green room as we speak to Rob Kohler from Teeling. Or, of course, I know it's a busy evening for everyone, but thank you so much for your time. And I appreciate it. And make sure, guys, if you're watching at home, to get onto that discount code in 10 minutes, because you can get a bottle of Skellig 618 on the way to your door tomorrow morning, should you feel like it. Thank you so much, Gina. I really appreciate it.
Sloan.
Okay, now we are on to our final dram of the evening. We have Teeling Blackpitts Cask Strength Whiskey coming in at a very healthy 56.5% ABV. I'm joined by Rob Caldwell, Global Brand Ambassador from Teeling Whiskey Distillery. I want to start before Rob gets into his normal spiel.
I'm out. I've been looking forward to this for months.
Yes.
It's been great. It's been months. Yes. I've been so excited for this one. I can't wait.
Rob has joined us multiple times. I actually think you were on the first ever 3 drams, if I'm not mistaken. But Rob was not the person billed to come from Teeling this evening. A compatriot of his was coming from Teeling, and he was actually at dinner. That while Darren was doing his presentation, I was wrangling Rob to find a quiet-ish room.
I've been here the whole time.
There's dedication to the cause, because I texted him and I asked him where he was, and he didn't.
Right here. I've been right here the whole time.
He wasn't the guy, but as a true company man, he has left dinner in Dublin City and has found a back room in the restaurant that he was in. So fair play to you, Rob. And he texted me. The greatest part was he agreed to come on and then asked me what whiskey we were tasting, which was phenomenal. That it was secondary to agreeing to come on. So Rob, thank you so much. I really appreciate it. Everyone in the comment section, I want you to appreciate this, because this is a true whiskey ambassador right here. Rob, I'm going to pour some whiskey in a glass. Why don't you tell us what are you drinking the whiskey that is it stocked in the oak? No,
of course, of course I am. Well, look, first, thanks, Matt. Thanks for reaching out. It'll be a true mate that would do something like that and give you the heads up rather than just powering on along and making stuff up. So, Matt, look, hands up. It was fantastic. And look, anytime I'd love to jump on and have a chat with you. It's been too long since we've caught up in person and had a whiskey. But yeah, happy enough to be talking about Blackpitts. But before we do, I wouldn't be doing my job if I didn't talk about Teeling. And obviously, Teeling, first new distillery in Dublin in 125 years, run by the Teeling family, have been distilling in Ireland since the 1980s. The Teeling Whiskey Company, thanks, Tina. The Teeling Whiskey Company, our ethos about creating whiskies has always been looking at every aspect of the production or process for making whiskey and trying different things. The idea that, and look, no disrespect to them, but Macallan, brilliant example. My partner works with Macallan, as you know, Matt. A single malt influenced by sherry. That's what the targeted approach is. Very phenomenal whiskey brand at doing that. For us, our flavor DNA, as it were, is fluid. Making whiskey with multiple different mash bills, a couple of different yeast strains, and something we absolutely rock is the cask influence. Over 150 different casks now at this stage. But I think this one's an interesting one, and we'll certainly dive into it. But yeah, Blackpitts cask strength. Really, really happy to be trying this one today.
So we've had Teeling Blackpitts before. I'm going to have a little nose of it here. This is the cask strength edition. Give us a quick 10-second. We don't have to go into too much.
Okay.
Give us a brief bullet point of what the Blackpitts is, and then tell us about cask strength and why they're different.
Yeah, quite simply, an Irish peated single malt, or an Irish smoky single malt. We knew we wanted to create a peated single malt. Thank you, Olivia. We knew we wanted to create a single malt. There were people that told us before we even released Blackpitts that we shouldn't be doing it. Leave it to the Scotch, leave it to Islay. But those same people, tasted Blackpitts and yeah, I mean, we're brought around. We had a phenomenal amount of success with Blackpitts that led us or allowed us to further explore the peated single malt category.
Fantastic. So Blackpitts 46 edition is in Sauternes, is that correct? Combination of ex-bourbon and Sauternes. So we kind of allow the ex-bourbon to really kind of showcase a little bit of that peat, but the idea of Blackpitts at 46, the core release, is subtly peated single malt. We're going to dive, right deep into, peat. So it was a triple distilled, a combination of white wine yeast and distiller's yeast, and then, a combination of ex-bourbon and Sauternes. So, lovely little fruity balance. Think grilled meats as opposed to that iodine, medicinal kind of vegetal quality that we think of Islay single malts. And then we go up a notch for the cask strength. Yes. So I think, look, this is a fantastic example. Let's dive right in. Everyone has this in their hands, so let's talk about this. We've given a little bit of an intro. But yeah, basically, due to the response we've had with Blackpitts, it won Best Overall Whiskey at Tales of the Cocktail in New Orleans in America last year. Big bartender festival, giving awards to the best bars in the world and bartenders in the world. So really, really great award to have, as well as top 3 whiskey of 2021 in Whiskey Advocate magazine. So yeah, obviously it puts a bit of a spotlight on us and allows us kind of room to grow within the space. Obviously people wanting to try it gives you a little bit of investment in the idea of peated single malt. And as we do, we explore and flesh out the idea. So essentially looking into double distillation, what is the main difference between peated single malts from Ireland and peated single malts from Dublin? And for us, it was looking at double distillation. We know that Irish whiskies, for the most part, are triple distilled, but we don't want to be kind of defined by all Irish whiskies triple distilled, as people still say globally. So it was about figuring out, all right, what is actually happening between that second still and that third still, or that intermediate still and the spirit still. And this is a phenomenal example of exactly that. Exactly that. Not too much different beyond the ABV and that, 1/3 of the maturation. The main difference between this is the difference between double distillation and triple distillation. So for the geeky among you, it's phenols, it's the heavier fusel oils, it's that flavor of smoke that really kind of drops in the third still. So what we're getting here is a heavily peated version of Blackpitts. Well, I'm going to say sláinte. Cheers the camera there to you. I don't want to hit my phone. It might drop off my precarious setup here. Launch it to whatever restaurant that you set up in the back of also. And if anyone thinks we're lying, you can hear the plates crashing in the back.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I'm so sorry for that. I was like, oh, am I gonna?
Don't be sorry. We appreciate you being here. Otherwise, this was going to be me reading the 18 bullet points you sent. He also did write out a huge amount of bullet points for me in case he couldn't be on, which was appreciated.
But no, I do love this. Look, I mean, Blackpitts was fantastic. You know, it could have gone either way. You know, we had people telling us, "Why are you doing that? That's Scotch territory. Why go into that?" Like delve into that kind of well-trod path. But what we have here is a great example, and we've seen it in the past before. Not saying we're the only ones. W.D. O'Connell and Connemara, two great examples of peated single malts. But yeah, look, I love the occasional peated single malt, and I'm so happy with the success that Blackpitts has had, and the success to the cask strength. You know, further increasing that level of smokiness, that level of phenols, a little bit more down the route of what, you know, those particular whiskey fans are looking for. Obviously not for everybody, but definitely a large subset of whiskey fans looking for these smokier whiskeys. And
in around the world, at whiskey shows, I would always use maybe like softly peated whiskeys as a gateway to bring in the people that maybe think they don't drink Irish whiskey.
Yeah.
You know, you're standing in the middle of the Hague or something, and people come over and ask you what Scotch you have, what peated Scotch you have, and you go, oh, it's Irish, and they go to leave. But you bring them in with a bit of peat. Do you find this as a gateway into maybe Irish for those kind of diehard Scotch drinkers?
Oh, 100%. Yeah, 100%. Yeah, exactly like you said. But I even leave out the Irish sometimes and let the liquid speak for itself. You know, being a flavor forward company, it kind of, the liquid sometimes does speak for itself. It says far more than I can ever say. So yeah, when people come up to the counter, always ask the question, you know, because the adverse is true too. Like if someone come up and says, I love American whiskey bourbon, that sweeter, smoother style. If I give them Blackpitts cask strength, they're probably going to walk away going, not only do I not like that whiskey, I don't like that brand with the Phoenix and the. So yeah, always ask the question. But when they're looking for something smoky, it's great to be able to pull it out of the bag and give them something that blows their mind.
Absolutely. And is this a limited edition then, or?
Unfortunately, yeah. I mean, test runs always start. It's 8,000, about 8,000 bottles in our backyard for the time being. But again, with the success, it allows us to kind of grow, and a lot of people asking about it. Doing things like this certainly help us be able to grow the concept and see a subsequent release there down the line.
Absolutely. I believe about €75 on Irish malts, I think. Ish.
Yes.
Yeah,
sure.
I looked it up just in case you didn't have that on hand. So it is €75 on Irish malt, if you're wondering. just to clarify. But there is a discount that went out about this minute. This is the minute the discount went out. Correct Irish malt. See, the things I do for you, Rob, I looked this up for you just in case.
I looked up everything else. I was like, yeah, okay, I got it.
Yeah.
Got it. Just price was the only thing I didn't think.
Exactly. Listen, I knew people would ask. And if you think I'm lying, he literally wrote out huge amounts of text just in case I wasn't able to get him on. But okay, so Teeling Blackpitts cask strength. John, I want to read John McCarthy's commentary. He says, finally, the best Irish peated whiskey ever. Absolutely excellent. Well done, Teeling. Very happy to buy this. And then JB says, wow, takes it up a level. And he says, it's a turf fire in a glass, which is...
well, that brings up a good point. Like, it should be noted, and we haven't really kind of talked about it, but yeah, I mean, Irish peat, we know it's a bit of a contentious issue, and we'd love to see it. But unfortunately, right now, commercially available peat not available in Ireland. You know, we buy our malt from the Malting House of Ireland that also supplies small brands like Guinness and Heineken. So we do have to buy our peated barley from Scotland, but we don't go to Islay where it is traditionally made. We go to Glenesk. Glenesk, you know, of the mainland would be a little bit more aligned with the flavors and that vegetal nature that we'd see here in the Republic. So yeah, that's certainly very important, especially when we're talking about, you know, things like geography and terroir.
Exactly. Well, Rob, I won't keep you too much longer. To everyone who's been enjoying this, is Teeling Blackpitts Cask Strength, 56.5%. How many thousands of bottles do you say was the limited run?
I believe it was around 8,000. So yeah, definitely available Irish malts and the Teeling
Perfect.
distillery. 8,000 something.
Of course, Irish Malt and Teeling Distillery will ship directly to your door where it is legal to do so. There is a discount code got out to you 3 minutes ago. I hope you have very much enjoyed yourselves. I am cognizant of the time here. I want to say a very big thank you to all of our guests, to everyone watching at home, and then of course to those who watch after the fact, and for everyone who organizes in the Irish Malts and 3 Drams team to get these fantastic kits sent out to your house every month. These are beautifully designed packages with the whiskeys. It is absolutely fantastic to see and introduce so many people to so many different whiskeys around the world. To all of our guests, Darren and June, thank you so much. Rob, to our surprise guest of the evening, I really appreciate you taking the time. A very big thank you. I am delighted to have you all here, and I just want to read one more comment from Olivia King. She says, she has come a long way in these 30 episodes. She wasn't a fan of peated whiskies back in episode 1. Now she loves this, a lovely, sweet peated dram. Thanks to Rob and Matt. And that's from JB. So very big thank you, guys. Rob, June, Darren, hang out for a second in the green room. I'm going to say thank you to you guys in the background, but to everyone at home, everyone watching after the fact, thank you so much, and good night.
Cheers.